Okay. Barbara Adnucci, 28 Shrewsbury Avenue. I have a few questions from reading the DEP site, and they had a lot of FAQs for permits. Coastal Waters was the department I believe we're dealing with here. They all apply to bulkheads and docks, so this was a special section or a special permit process in order to build a structure. You keep saying we may not be approved, and that was also stated in the FAQs, that just because you apply for a permit, it does not mean they will approve it according to coastal water regs on a beach, near the bulkhead, near water. So my question is, what will happen if you find out it's not a permittable project at all? What is the town going to do? Are you still going to be responsible for the cost, or are you going to actively pursue Tilt-Up to take care of this?
I would say that it's our responsibility to take it down, and then we'll have conversations with 5 council members on our attorney and how to get the reimbursed.
Okay. Now,
if that comes to what you're saying.
okay.
Which is a real possibility.
Well, and if it is a non-permittable process, obviously part of the structure made it that way. So to remove it, you're again doing a non-permittable action. What are you going to do then? I mean, then it's kind of like a double whammy.
Right.
And Tilt-Up would still be clean of any responsibility?
Well, I didn't say that. I said
Okay.
we would have to decide what's best for the town in a timely fashion.
Mhm.
And then if there is a dollar amount attached to that and there is liability, then we'll speak with the council and our attorney and go forward. We would tell you, in public what we could at that point, and like
Okay.
anything else that's in litigation or litigation.
Okay, and then from conversations with other officials that have dealt with DEP in municipalities, did confirm that according to their warning notice letter, they will not require permits to remove. So,
Yes, I think that's it.
So I'm suggesting it might be better to go right for removal than to try to go to permittable and then find out, oh my God, you really crossed the line, nothing is permittable, and now you're going to be even more,
Opening another door.
yes, more of a Pandora's
And that's
box.
part of this conversation tonight as well as the meeting on Wednesday.
Okay, so because of that, and knowing how these regs work, I would say just remove it and don't even try to go for permits.
So your vote's here, take it down.
Take it down because
Based on all the data.
I wouldn't want the permit process to reveal too much of
And knock you down again.
how much we transgress the regs.
Okay.
Okay.
Ken, did you want to? Carl?
Carlos Cavallo, 62 Raven Point Road. A couple of things. First off, I'm really glad to see that you guys are doing this because you were elected by all of the people, not just 178 people, and many, many people did not know about the survey, so I really appreciate it. And I wanted to ask, who wrote the RFP? Who wrote the RFP?
Councilman Clark did the RFP, and it went to,
Our attorney?
I'm sorry.
Councilman Clark didn't have to put it to the RFP, and it did go to our purchasing agent.
So Councilman Carter wrote the RFP?
Councilman, I just said it again, Carla. Councilman Clark had input on the RFP that was sent to our purchasing agent for distribution.
Yes. And I'm also wondering, was a permit required for the gazebo that was built on Meadow Beach?
Predating me.
Grandfather? That's all.
Andy Dale, Miller Street. I'm going to take this in a slightly different direction because this is very confusing. I was a sales trader in my previous life. And one of my favorite sayings was, nothing is good or bad except by comparison. So that's the way I want to start this, with a comparison. I'm going to compare it to another structure down the other end of town. Now, this one that we're talking about, dedication to Sandy survivors, I guess that's what it's called, I'm not sure. At the other end of town is the Veterans Memorial Park. But if you drive past, there's nothing to tell you that it's a Veterans Memorial Park except the sign. To view something about a veteran who gave his life, you have to go up in a stand and look down at this tiny little plaque. Yet there's a commercial sign that's 10 times bigger. And there's a monument to 9/11, which is 100 times bigger. So it might have started off as something for veterans, but it went in a totally different direction. My fear is this: if you leave that thing up, what is that going to become? Now, I don't know who's responsible for both of them, unless it's the same group. I don't know. But I'm hopeful for taking them both down.
You can give it to Andrew. Give it, Joe, he'll take it right behind you, sir.
I'm Andrew Stockton, 31 Grand Tour, and I'm actually in favor of the filter project. I like the look of it. I hope that it stays. And I have a question regarding the RFP and the wording of it and the budgets that were accepted for it. Did the RFP for the demolition process include preparation of a demolition plan? So I know there's a cost associated with that.
And all your questions were valid questions, and
Right.
they're fine. My question to you is, sir, someone with your knowledge and expertise, were you ever informed about this project being installed?
I wasn't, and actually in the January reorganization meeting of the council, I reminded the council that the planning board is there. I'm the planning board chairman. I reminded the council, everybody there, that that venue is available at the planning board for that in the future, so that this happens. But what is happening now in the future, what you've done with this RFP, you didn't
I didn't
include.
do the RFP. The RFP is vetted out by our purchasing agent.
All right.
To vet out the exploratory.
Hold on, let me get my statement out, and then the RFP was just for the demolition. I don't think it's the right thing to just turn a contractor loose and let him have at it without any demolition plan, without any municipal oversight on what's going to happen there. I know there are costs associated with that. I know there are costs associated with permits that are required for the demolition process, not from NJDEP, but the town has a zoning permit process and a demolition fee in our ordinance section 10-2 for demolition work that needs to be paid attention to. And the work is also going to disturb more than 5,000 square feet for the demolition process. So that will add on another layer of review and approval and oversight from the Freehold Soil Conservation District. My point is that the RFP as written and the cost proposals that you got didn't include all these other added costs, and the actual cost of demolition is going to be dramatically higher than what you received back in the RFPs because of that. And then my feeling is the permitting process with NJDEP is actually going to be pretty straightforward, and collecting the permit and approval process is probably going to be about a third of the cost that you listed in the survey, so not $17,500, more like $5,000. And when you compare $5,000 to $50,000 for the demolition option, I think a lot of people here might actually even change their vote on the outcome of that, because in my mind, a $40,000, $45,000 difference will go a long way, and your priorities in pushing this demolition are skewed out of place, where we have so many other things to pay attention to in this town besides the tilt-up. If you want to get rid of the tilt-up project, it shouldn't be before we build a new borough hall. You should be repairing the sewer, repairing the drainage system, and $40,000 or $45,000 will go a long way towards that effort. And that's what my problem and my concern is. I think the demolition option is a waste of our taxpayer money, and I really don't want a dime of my taxes going towards that demolition.
Hang on, let's go around and give you a chance, David. Hang on, guys, let's not get in the back and forth. Andrew, anything?
I live in town, I've gone to all of the beaches in town on a yearly basis in the summertime. I like going to, look at the horseshoe crabs when they come in April. I go sometimes in the summertime.
Andrew, let's go. Rachel. Thank you.
Rachel Stockton, 31 Grand Tour. My whole question about this process is that I had no idea there was a survey online until someone told me, my husband. And he said, fill out the survey. And I said, okay, I'll get to it. And by the time I got to it, I was told that the survey was taken down. Then it was put back up. And when I was told that the time had expired for me to answer it, I didn't even bother. And then I found out today that the survey was still online, so I was able to go online and complete the survey. My point being that I get the 911 text messages from the town about the high winds, about flooding, about construction on Linden Avenue. I never got any information that there was a survey online to answer.
Did you get one for tonight?
I got a
Just wanna make
text
sure,
message
okay.
for tonight.
Okay, so that's a point.
I think if this is to be a fair survey, a fair sampling of the entire town, then everybody in town needs to know, get a postcard out to everybody, and every taxpayer get a postcard out in the mail. Get everybody a text message that there's a survey online that they should answer. It's important. It's about the Tilt-Up project. Because 178 people is not a fair sampling of the town. So that, while we got information about tonight's meeting, I never got information about this survey. It was all word of mouth. And I'm not on Facebook, so I'm not on social media.
The other option we talked about as a council, I'm sorry to cut you off, as a council was putting it on a referendum in November, because it's a presidential
And that
election.
would be a better way to get.
So we typically have a high turnout anyway, and it's obviously bigger than a presidential election. And we have about 2,500 registered voters right now.
And that would be a great way to do it.
That's been talked
Because
about
then
by council.
everybody would see it, everyone would have time to research it, they'd get their sample ballot in the mail, so they would know about it, and that would be the best way to do it. Then you get a real,
Do you think though, and I'm really asking because I thought about this, do you think it would be one of those yes, no type of things, or would they really pay attention? I'm
No, I
asking
think
because
this
I know a lot of
is
times
such a
people only vote.
I think people would really,
Yeah, but I understand,
I
but
think
it's-
the information has to be complete and true. If what Andrew was saying, with the demolition, there's gonna be a lot more cost involved, that has to be disclosed.
Right.
And getting the permit. In terms of taking the Tilt-Up project down, I agree with Andrew that there are so many more ways that we should be spending our money in town. If we're gonna demolish anything, we should be demolishing the boarded up abandoned buildings in town. We should be spending money doing that and making way for new construction to make our town more beautiful. That's how I feel we should spend the money. We have a borough hall that is boarded up with plywood on Bay Avenue. It's horrible to drive by that and see that. We have no police station, and I think, I'm sorry that I don't agree with you, but I have the right to speak.
Let's stop, come on.
So that's how I think
Keep
we
it
should
civil.
spend our money. That's my opinion, in terms of, how beautiful Tilt-Up is or not, I really have no opinion.
Okay. Thank you.
John Kim, Marine Place, corner of Marine Place in Snug Harbor. I look at it every day. I happen to like it. I'm in favor of it. I think prevailing minds, sensible prevailing minds in town here would be fine. I'm listening to all my neighbors here and would appreciate cost-effective resolution to it. Just one thing I wanted to ask is if you can give us a little coloration or flavor as to how your discussions are going with the Tilt-Up to, other than what we might have read months ago.
My attorney's saying we can't, so I'm sorry.
Is that because there is litigation? Or
No, I would say right now, you could say
it's negative,
there's
positive,
anticipated, but I think it's
listening to you?
No, I think because we're showing benchmarks, like we're telling both sides, DEP also, I know Councilman Carter, we're talking to DEP, and we're telling them, a month ago we decided to talk about it, X amount of meetings, the regular scheduled ones. We talked about this probably a month and a half ago, having this town hall meeting, we just had to pick a date. And then we also talked about putting it on referendum, the true sample of the entire town.
And they're amenable to it, they're coming to.
Well, as long as they know that we're telling them we're doing this on this date and we really do it, I think that, as far as that end goes, you can keep the wolves at bay, if you will, as long as they know we're really doing something and following through on our word. And we have so
Yeah,
far.
see how much resistance there was from them.
Well, I don't want to talk about percentages of resistance or not, but I think all parties involved, as long as we're saying we're doing it and we're really doing it, it's not just mouth service, that they're okay with that right now. I don't know how long they'll be okay with that, but they are right now.
Just to add to that, just let the public know, the state, Mr. Hill, has been in communication, the state is 100% on board with the community, whatever decision we decide. So that fear of the state coming down and hammering us, it's not going to happen unless we don't take some type of action like that. So that's important. And, Mr. Hill reached out to immediately. I had a conversation with him. Mr. Lutz, and he's been very positive about the fact that we are doing exactly what we're doing.
So as long as we're meeting the benchmarks, you think that'll stay that way?
Yes. We ignored it, there would have been a problem.
Yeah, it'll be a whole nother conversation. Different tone, probably.
Exactly.
Sir, please.
Sean Cullen, Highlands Avenue. If this does go to a referendum, how are you going to consider non-residents and non-citizens that pay taxes in this country?
Well, if you're not a resident, you probably don't vote here, right? I think it would be registered voters like anything else that we don't
I'm
referendum.
not registered voter in this town. Like myself, I'm a Canadian. How does my voice get heard if it goes to
I think you can fill out a survey tonight. I'm not saying.
Not the survey, that's as opposed to referendum.
Vote referendum, you gotta be a registered voter. That's the only legal way, just like when we vote on school budgets.
So no consideration for those who are,
Not if you go to referendum, no, because you're not a registered voter. I don't think there's any answer that fits every circumstance. Mr. Francie's taking the mic.
Chris Francie, 36 Fifth Street. I'm absolutely in favor of keeping it. I think the council needs to act on a non-emotional basis on whether to take it down or leave it in place. All right. Everybody can have an opinion as to whether they like it. There are people who are complaining that it obstructs views, but the reality is nobody has any rights to a view except on your own property. It's a kind of a bogus issue. The reality is, I think that the survey is flawed, and I think we expect the council to. It's flawed by the numbers of why, at this point, people are driven to complete a survey based on their level of interest in the subject being surveyed.
It would be the same thing for the master plan survey, correct?
There's
Master
that.
plan survey?
And
Small sampling of that?
any politics, at this point, the survey wasn't conducted by calling random people. I mean, it was,
Well, let me ask you this question. Would you want random people or would you want a whole temperature of the town? I'm not saying the survey did that. I'm saying would you prefer
I'm not-
a referendum?
To be quite honest, I'm not enough of a survey person to answer that, except that polls call people without knowing who they are.
Whatever, sure.
All right, but at this point, the council needs to act based on what is Tilden's response going to be, all right, in terms of demolishing it or permitting it, all right? What are the real costs of the town for the various options? And it needs to not be, I personally don't think we can be vindictive. Mistakes were made. Grievous mistakes were made in this process. But the reality is, it's here. And going forward, we're not going to, we can't be vengeful. Is about whether we take it down or not. And then that's part of the issue. At this point, I don't know how you reach a objective decision because there's so much emotion involved in all of it.
You would hope you can get a majority of your town to vote on it in one way, shape, or form, and we're instruments of the voters.
Right.
So if 95% of people, if all 5 council people wanted to keep it and 95% of people didn't, I think it would be our obligation to get rid of it.
And if that was the case, I'd agree with you, but
Clearly,
we don't know that that's the case.
I agree with
That's
you.
the
That's
issue.
kind of why this was not the last step.
And this is probably the same 176 people who filled out the survey.
I hope there's more, but I can't control that.
And what's missing in part of this discussion is that, at this point, what was there was a gazebo of some kind, and I don't think we're going to leave it empty. So there is that cost of replacing the existing structure. All right, so that has to get factored into. according, and, and Mr. Andrews, Mr. Stockton's comments about the cost of demolition, that stuff has to get considered. And I hope, bottom line, it's gonna cost $3,000 or $5,000 to permit it to stay, or, $50,000.
You believe the demolition number, but you don't believe the demolition number, but you also don't believe the permit, you don't believe the permit number.
Well, I think the permit is $5,000, I really do believe it. I don't think they're saying that, that was the best.
Well, I think that was,
They put out an RFP for the demolition process, they collected that, they never put out an RFP for the engineering work to collect the permits.
You're not believing either number.
That's not true. All I'm, if you look,
It is certain.
my point is, at the bottom,
Hang on,
at the end of a process, we're gonna have a number to keep it, and a number to take it down.
and we're also gonna try to have a number, as best we can, of a percentage that want it as residents and that don't. So we can get to a true number of who wants it and who doesn't, and then, maybe a 95% sure dollar amount attachment, then you can make a decision.
And at this point, if you can take the emotions out of it, which is very hard to do, I don't envy.
As I said, this isn't the last meeting, it's the first.
Right.
You always expect, to get more information as we go forward and have more of these. And we'll hopefully come together with an agreement that may not satisfy everybody, but you want to satisfy the majority. Same way we got in office. Half the people in town sometimes don't vote for a winner of an election, right? Or 49% don't.
Well, I thank you for passing the mic back.
Hi, my name is Bob Murray. I'm not a resident of town, but I was one of the volunteers who helped build the structure. And Mr. Mayor, you were...
Do you mind giving your name for the record, please?
Bob Murray, 590 Watchung Road, Falmouth, New Jersey.
Can you repeat it again? Because a lot of people were talking. I'm not here for the record.
590 Watchung Road, Falmouth, New Jersey.
And what were you involved in? I apologize, sir.
I was one of the volunteers that helped build the structure. And you were not in attendance at the January 21st meeting, but I let it be known at that time that we would certainly help with any engineering costs, any architecture costs, and any fees from the DEP.
As far as permitting goes?
To permit the structure.
Okay.
So there would be no cost to the town if we decide to keep the structure. As far as if you decide to tear it down, I would say you jump on that $35,000 because the amount of steel and concrete that's in that structure, I'm a contractor and I would take that price. But as far as the cost goes, I've been in touch with Mr. Hill on several occasions. We would help overcome any costs if we decided.
What is your role with Tilton, sir?
I'm a member of the Tilton Concrete Association. I was one of the contractors.
So I just want to go on the record, you have the power to make that offer.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure everybody knows. That's all.
I'll write a check. Right?
No, I just want to make sure, we don't know the number yet, so don't write any checks and don't give them to me.
I just want to let you know, whatever you decide, I understand that the public was not communicated with, and there's people for and against this, and that's very unfortunate, but when Tilton came to the town, and we were willing to do anything, we wanted to do a project for the town, we like to help our neighbors out at the time of need. And that's really why we put the project together. And, we got the green light, we filled out the permits for the town, we issued permits. I understand that there was a state permit that needs to happen, and we're willing to, go the extra mile and make sure you get that permit.
So for the record, if it's kept there, you're saying your organization will take care of all the fees?
Not the organization. I will raise the money.
Okay, I apologize.
Thank you, Bob. And since you work for the Tilton Foundation, is it built correctly according to the plan, or is it out of spec? Is it facing the way it's supposed to?
Well, the plan showed north, and north is
North is north.
the building was supposed to be asymmetrical with the existing structure. So the plan called north, and if you put a compass out north, Well, you rotate, it would have been on 45, so it was rotated in the way it was supposed
So,
to. And structurally, it's sound, it's good engineered. I can assure you I have photographs.
so can you assure me that it's built to the plan? Okay, because if it wasn't built to the plan, then Tilt-Up should pay to remove it. So I don't think, I mean, if I build a house and I have a plan, if I don't build it according to the plan, my name is Katie Reed, I live on 7 Snow Harbor Avenue, I look at Stonehenge every day, I do not like it, I think it's horrible. It's huge, it doesn't belong on the beach. Concrete and the beach and the ocean and the waves do not flow. I don't like anything about it. I would like it to be removed. I always try to find a silver lining, and in this case, that is that we concretely know that we had communication issues, we have a lot more important things to do, and yes, we are fighting about structure on the beach. But if it stays, I think it just represents you guys making a decision that was not in the best interest of the town. Whether it was communication, this one, that one, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't have been there, it shouldn't have been allowed to be placed there, and I think every day it's a reminder of the dysfunction that the leadership has shown.
Yeah, I like the building myself. You know, how this was done without the full council, you know what I mean? Now, you're looking to keep this thing here, yet on Miller Street, there's a beam all over the structure that has to be taken out, but because the guy didn't have permit, correct?
I'm not going to comment on that.
So, litigation, I guess.
Anything possible, yeah, we're kind of here tonight talking about Tilt.
Yeah,
And
but
all
you're
the
gonna
aspects
set a precedent, is what I'm saying.
Sorry?
You set a precedent. You're gonna leave something up without permits and not allow somebody else to do the same
We
thing.
can still file for the permits, and people might not be happy even if we get them, right or wrong.
No, I understand
Yeah,
that.
so
That
we're trying to
guy, they
get
don't know
feedback on whether
what's
they
wrong,
want to
they're
keep
not getting the permits. But, you know, you gotta watch the precedent that you're setting here tonight.
100%.
So you're gonna do
We're not
this
making any
without.
vote tonight for the record, we're trying to get everybody's feedback and talk about it.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is they can set a precedent here. You know, the town can do whatever they want, but an individual can't. That village should not have been put up without soil samples and whatnot. I've done a lot of work with CBD, the Catholic community, or waterfront development, am I correct?
Don't know. I don't know what aspects of it, that's our next conversation.
And that would take warrants, whatnot, to be able to handle that kind of structure.
I'm sure there'll be layers of conversations with different agencies.
It's a
If you
shame,
decide to
it's a
keep it.
beautiful thing, I'm satisfied it keeps it, you know, in the summer, I think a lot of these people would appreciate it. I don't live down there, so I'm not being saying that. I like the one on Miller Street. It's been there for decades. But it's just mind-boggling how this thing was done without the full council and how permits was done. And like I said, you set the precedent by telling one guy, you tear your stuff down, but we're gonna do what we want. Nixon tried that and they teach them, or tried to.
I was listening at home and felt I had to come down and say the same thing. I think it should come down because it was done illegally.
Ms. Francie, mind giving your name and address for the
Dolores,
record?
1936.
Thank you.
If you didn't follow any of the processes the town has for a building like that, if a resident put up an extra deck, you'd make him tear it down. The town went ahead and put up this building that no one knew about. If the engineering company was involved, they should have gotten rid of it because it's unprofessional like permits. The town obviously knows better this. I want to know what small select group decides what happens in this town. So I think just because it was illegal, it should be done.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with liking it or not. It went up there without our permission.
Pauline Jennings, 27 Route Street. For the record, I like the building. It's an architectural, nice looking building.
I don't look at it every day, so I guess I can't say it's an eyesore to me, but if I did, I wouldn't think it was an eyesore. I think we need to move on beyond this. We shouldn't be getting into vindictiveness. If we're talking about it being a reminder of how the town misfunctioned or didn't get the proper permits, there's an opportunity to get the permits, so why not? And we complain long and loud about our taxes going up all the time. Surely there are more important things that we should debate in town rather than a structure like this that isn't causing any harm to anybody. It's not a detriment to the town, in my opinion. And it really is time to move on, and perhaps the council has learned a valuable lesson from it. And something like this will never happen again. I'm a born optimist. Move on, please.
Hi, Jim Glover, Highlands, 3 Woodland. Ex-Highland lifeguard, 1976 to 77. I think the beaches are important. Highlands, gem. Our beaches are the gem of Highlands in the summer. And I don't like the bad publicity about the pavilion. Pavilion is beautiful. It's a perfect design. I agree with Chris Franzi, a fellow alumnus of the Pratt Institute. It's a wonderful structure, and it serves its purpose. Shading for the elderly, for children. I mean, our beach culture needs to come back in the Highlands. We need beach access mats. We need lifeguards. We need trash bins. We need the beach culture to come back to Highlands. This bad publicity about Highlands and the pavilion has got to go. What can I say? I grew up in Highlands. Children love the beach. We're forgetting about our beaches. We're losing our focus about the whole beach identity of Highlands. And we need to bring that back. And let's bring showers to that pavilion.
Mr. Cody, as a lifetime resident, do you recommend putting it on a referendum to all town?
Absolutely. I had 3 saves my first 2 weeks of lifeguard, then I sat in that stand all summer and nothing happened.
You think it's a good idea to sample on a presidential election as a referendum?
Absolutely. That current moves fast.
Okay.
Let's take a look at Ideal Beach, Belford, what they're doing to their beaches there. We need to bring back the beach culture. Palomar Beach, Rocky Point. We need our natural resources to come back and shine. And here we are, just screwing it all up, arguing over a pavilion. And that pavilion is going to come in handy if a squall comes through, and everybody has to bail from that beach and go for shelter. If that pavilion's not there, we're going to tear something down a month before summer.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it has little holes in it, so, and that's the other thing. That is a great engineering structure. That is an inspiration for future architects, future engineers, future people that have vision, and Highlands needs vision. Any way you can get it.
Thank you, sir. Anybody want to get in the next? Let's go to the conference and
Oh, boy.
Mary Salzman, 43 Snug Harbor Ave. I am shaking. We're all discussing this thing like it's legal. It's illegal. I mean, if your child went out and stole candy from a candy store, would you let them eat it? I mean, I don't understand. I just don't understand. It's illegal in 7 different ways. My hand is shaking, I'm sorry. The idea that we're still standing here discussing it like we have to decide whether everybody likes it, whether it's a beautiful structure. Mr. Murray, I have a question for you. Mr. Murray, I'm just wondering, I know that you answered the question about True North, but what I'm wondering is the 16-foot wall is in front of the water. And in the plan, it looks like the 6-foot wall is supposed to be in front of the water. Now, Ms. Kane on Facebook is alleging that she can envision people having weddings inside of the structure. And I'm wondering what bride and groom would want to stand in front of a 16-foot long concrete wall with the water lapping way beyond and not being able to be seen. Sorry, that's a rhetorical question, I guess, but anyway. Logistically, was a 16-foot wall supposed to be there?
Yeah, the last time I was there, just so that you know, other than the meeting I was at, beautiful moon was shining.
In January.
I stood out there that night.
Do you mind coming over? They're not going to pick you up on the recording, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Other than the last time at the meeting, after the meeting, we went out and watched the moon shine through the 3 aqua and the ceiling, which I think is very beautiful. The time before that I was there, it was on Saturday. I came up and I even had a picture of it. There was those little scooters. There was 5 or 6 of them laying in the structure, lined up with little sneakers there, and one little boy hiding underneath the bench over there. I just thought it was the cutest thing in the world, and I'd be happy to share that photo with you. Ultimately, it's up to you folks if you want to keep it or you don't like it. But remember, they didn't like the Eiffel Tower. They didn't like the arch in St. Louis. And people didn't even like the Statue of Liberty.
I was just wondering about the wall, but I'm sorry. So I also have this message from Ms. Kane that tells me that she wasn't in the country when Mr. Hill picked out the location. So I guess that's kind of throwing Mr. Hill under the bus, and you guys will have to work that out. But I'm a little bit confused because you took responsibility for this at the very first meeting in January of 2015, where you misdescribed what the resolution was about in saying that it was totally non-binding, it was an exploratory resolution, and then nothing, I mean, this is not new information to anybody, nothing is heard until there is equipment on the beach in September. And we're talking about there was no insurance. I asked Mr. Murray back at the January meeting, was there a contract? And his answer was, there was no contract, there was a donation. How could there be no contract? How could there have been no involvement from a zoning board, from a planning board? No insurance? There's still no insurance on it. This is insane. And you also said this affects me personally, and absolutely it does. You have taken away the things that I can't really even describe, the things that are the feel-good things about Highlands, they're gone. But that's okay. It's not okay. I'm going to suffer financial loss in addition, but this is so beyond that for me. I am here because Rich just finished raising his house, and he's not going to have a view anymore. Joan and her, who have lived in their house for 40 years, are now going to be facing a cement wall. The new friends that I have who just purchased their house, when we bought our house, there was disclosure that had to go on, where the realtor had to tell us that they were planning to take down the wood bulkhead and put up a metal bulkhead. And she said, go down the borough hall, the plans are there. Where are the plans? Where are the plans so that these people who put their money and their time and their effort and their enthusiasm into purchasing houses to rebuild the town, when was that opportunity to not look at a cement wall? It is so beyond anything that I can comprehend, and it's such low-hanging fruit. But bottom line is that when you consider the costs, I would be more than happy to write a check to help you guys take it down. But if it doesn't get taken down and it gets sent to a referendum, I'm more than happy to walk away from the entire thing and hand my check to an attorney. I think that sorry, I had handwritten notes, but I beside myself. I think the discovery process, but that alone would be fascinating to watch. So that's it, I'm sorry.
Rich White, 21 Snug Harbor. I think it should go. I think it's ugly. It just does not belong on the beach. It blocks views, no matter where you are. If you're inside it, you can't see out. Behind it, you can't see, just blocks everything, not to mention the beauty of Snug Harbor.
Your votes take it down, I don't want to say as soon as possible, sooner than later.
Sooner.
Right, okay.
Tina Hammer, 164 Linden Avenue. I have to say that I agree with Katie, who spoke earlier, that I'm not in favor of this cement structure on the beach. I think it's completely not beach culture, as was suggested. I don't see the parallel. Beach culture is looking at the beach, is enjoying nature. The weather today, gorgeous weather. I can't imagine myself going down to that beach and sitting inside a cement bunker and thinking this is what the beach is all about. So I'm not for it. Also, I have to say that I think that the statement that was made that an obstructive view was bogus. I don't even understand that, simply because if I were an owner that had purchased, like Mary, property with a beach view, and then this thing, I wake up every morning and this thing is staring back at me, to think that my real estate investment has plummeted, which, that's the truth. Who wants to get that kind of value for your money at that point? So I just find it infuriating that, everybody here has a voice. It's all about us. It's all about everybody here at Highlands. We matter, whether it goes to referendum, whether people get out and they fill out those surveys. We all have a voice. I appreciate that the construction company gentleman over there came, but to be honest with you, I don't want to hear these schmaltzy stories about the picture of the kid on the bench and this and that. I don't care about that. I don't care really whether you like it or not because you put it up and you put your heart into it. I live here, and it matters to me. And yeah, you know what? It is an emotional thing. As much as you're making it an emotional thing, it's an emotional thing for me too. It does not belong here. It reminds me of everything wrong with this town that hasn't been finished with Sandy, with the hurricane. I don't want to be reminded of it. And it also reminds me of everything that was not done properly to put this thing up, that was done illegally. We leave that there. It reminds me, well, great, you know what? That's what happens. It can just be left there illegally. What else can be done? So, thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Melissa Peterson, 17 Main Street. I'm totally for it being totally taken down. I think it is an illegal structure. And if the gentleman from Tiltup, you are willing to write a check tonight for the 17.5 to have it, excuse me, is that Mr. Tiltup guy? You're willing to write a check for the 17.5? Can you write us a check?
It's not going to cost $17,000.
Write us a check tonight, and do you really give a crap whether we put it toward the demolition or put it toward the permit? Because seriously, you're willing to write us a check tonight, and then we can put it toward the demolition. At the end of the day, a check's a check, and do you really care? If you're willing to write a check, do you care what it's for, what we use it for? And by the way, I came from my Bob too. I live right around the corner from you on Church Street, so this would never happen in Belleville. And I'm totally against how this came to be, and I don't think we're ever going to get honest answers on how it came to be, on how people made the decision, and who decided what's going to be there. And I think that's atrocious. And it's insult to injury that we're actually taking more and more time. You have to extend the survey because people didn't know. How did you not know? How did you not know? Everybody knew. Your husband told you there. And you didn't know about what was being built, and now time is a concern, now information is a concern? That's insult to injury. It's horrible how this is going on, and it's delayed tactics. You delay tactics. But this is, one thing I want everybody to keep in mind. Two of the council members that actually kind of stepped forward and said, hey, stood up for this, they're gone. Two new council members came to be. The attorney that was here, he's gone. Mr. Hill, he's retiring. Whoever's left, whoever else is running in December, you can run that in this referendum.
Elections in November. Thank
Whatever it is.
Okay.
Same deal.
I'm Barbara Jonings, I'm on 247 Bay Ave. I'm against the structure, I think it's awful, I think that it was illegally put up. I blame Ms. Kane, I'm sorry. Everything's done under the table, under the...
We're not going to comment on any of that because it costs a little
Well,
bit from some people in the
fine,
room.
sue me, what the
Trying to get a
hell?
feedback from you.
It's been one of those days. I think that this is just an example of what's been going on, and it's going to be a reminder of safety. Like, I need to be reminded of that. Nobody does. Nobody that went through it needs a memorial. And it's just an ugly thing on the beach, and it should go. And I don't think money should come into it at all. $50,000 is a drop in the bucket. You guys waste so much money in this town that $50,000 is nothing. You can waste it on whatever. We've seen everybody waste it. It's a drop in the bucket in terms of money, so I don't think money should come into it at all. Whether you tear it down or keep it up, or put a permit or don't put a permit, who cares? Let's just get rid of it so we don't have to be reminded of it, and we don't have to think about it, and we don't have to look at it anymore. Enough!
Hi, I'm Judy Rivera, Waterwich Avenue. I think we should take it down also. I've been going to that beach since I'm a little kid. It's a beautiful beach the way it was. That structure is like putting a glass house in the middle of this town. It's so out of place for a little baby beach. And I'm not going to talk about how it's done, I don't care, just want it done.
Thank you.
Sandy McAfee, I live at Waterwich Avenue. I see the bunker every day. It's out my kitchen window. And I walk down my 17 stairs as a reminder to Sandy every day. When it was being built, I had no idea it was being built until they were working till midnight. And the next day, Tricia and I walked over and said, what is going on here? You're working till midnight. We don't even know what's going on. I live right there. There was no notice to me of what was going on until I walked over there. And they said they were building a building. They didn't say it was a gazebo. They didn't say anything else. They told us it was a concrete building. And that's all they could tell us. It just bothers me that I lived so close to that structure and no one had the decency to tell the neighbors what was going on. But when I wanted to replace my shed, I had to let everybody in 200 feet know about it for a little shed. But you can build this structure and not tell the neighbors or the whole town what's going on. Thank you, and have a good
I wanted to extend, when we rebuilt, we wanted to extend the roof of our deck by 2 feet. And I had to give thousands to go to the zoning board to do it and send out 200 feet, mail out to 200 people, 200 feet. And as far as I know, they paid $75 permit, fee. So it's really not fair to all the residents what went down. So.
Nancy Berner, 22 Atlantic Street. I think most of you know my feelings on the structure. I am not a fan of it. I frequent Snug Harbor Beach. I have 2 young children, and I hope to frequent our beautiful new community center. This structure affects everything about the community center. The view walking in the front door, it blocks the double sliding doors. That's my thought on the structure. Tonight, there's been some wonderful comments from all over the room. Mrs. Francie, I agree with. Mrs. Jennings, I agree with Mr. Stockton. There's so many things that we really need to think about before we say tear it down, but I do want it torn down. I think it was built not to plan. I believe the wrong side is forward, so there's some issues there. I think Tilt Up did a nice job coming in. They put the gravel down, they protected the beach. How about we ask them to come in, put the travel down to the beach, take it down, move it somewhere else. I don't see how it's a benefit to our town at all. And it is a shame that we have to go through so many permitting things to do buildings, to put a shed up, to put a fence up. And this was kind of, I read the emails, I read the Oprah, we're not going to go there, but this was sort of rushed, with people showing up, Guinness Book of World Records, rush. It was kind of, thrown at us, and it's just a shame.
Nancy is a former council person and a lifelong resident, right? Do you think we should go to referendum and take them down soon? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I don't want, with what Mrs. Jennings said, we really need to tighten up the ways that we do things in the town. We don't need knee-jerk reactions, so I feel a referendum is a great idea, but of course I'd like to see it come down as soon as we can, but I don't want, if on the RFP there was not a demolition plan, you can't have that. You can't just have some local company go on the beach and tear the structure down. You could be in more trouble than we're in right now.
Be in more trouble than you're in now.
And I have one other comment, but if it comes to me, I'll ask.
We'll give you a do, don't worry.
Elisa Algaran, Portland Road, B13. I think it should come down. Obviously, I agree with everybody. The process that put it up was not right, and I really think that it's an eyesore and does not aesthetically add anything to the beach. So I think it should be taken down.
Arnie, 50 Valley Street. After sitting here listening to this, I'd like to make two comments. One way to make the approach is because of the referendum, it wouldn't affect the people who are part-time residents here, which I think wouldn't be fair. And I hate to use this word, but maybe a petition might be the way to go, because with a petition, it is illegal. I believe it's a legal way to get a decision within a body of people, and it's done by a certain percentage of the population. So I think that might be something that has been overlooked. And two, I think what people are upset about, and I'll say I'm upset about, is the transparency of this whole thing. And hopefully going forward, if everybody's more transparent about everything that they're affected with, it'll make everybody good and it'll make it a better town. Thank you.
Hi, Maureen Welch on 50 Valley Street, Highlands. I personally like the structure. Aesthetically, engineering, it's a beautiful piece of art. However, I do not support how it got there. And I agree with those who said it did not follow the right process. And I can't support something that doesn't follow a process. And I do think that no matter, but I understand Pauline's point of we've got to get over it. So I don't want us to wait to a referendum. I think that's very unclear. We need people investing in our town. These people who are part-time residents and businesses coming in have just as much of a right to protect their investment as full-time residents. And in many ways, they're putting more of their money at risk than some people who are residents but rent. So I think that we can't let this go to referendum because of timing, and I think it's unfair. So it shouldn't matter whether you like it or not, whether it's in our culture or not. We've got to start following the rules. We have to, the irony is this is something about slanting. Well, the whole thing should be about community pulling together, not having a few people make decisions for the whole. And I think that whatever gets decided, we need to look back and change the way things have been done. You can't take on this kind of risk, financial, cultural, legal. Some checks and balances need to get put in place.
Regarding 200 Portland Road, I think it should come down. We have a friend of ours that was raising his house on Snug Harbor, and
And I would go down every day to see the progress, and God knows he waited 3 years for that event, that heavy event to take place. And I would go down every day and I watched this go up, and I had no idea that there had been a permits or anything else along those lines. But I've had the occasion to listen to what he has to say on a daily basis or 3 or 4 times a week. And I think that the folks that live there in Snug Harbor, I think that they ought to have the greater word. I mean, we all should have input, but they're the ones that are going to be faced with the decision in the end. I also think that there's probably some liability issues for the town that have to be addressed, and they could be very serious liability issues. So I say take it down.
Thank you, Rick.
About the 330 Shore Drive. I have no opinion on good art or bad art. My opinion concerns costs. And until we have definitive costs and exact costs to take it down or keep it up, I think that's important, and I think that would be important for the survey as well, because I don't think that's contained in the survey. I just want to tell you that we had a resident, I live at Bayview Condominiums, we had a resident put up a tiki bar, a little tiki bar. We got fined from the state of New Jersey $100,000. And we talked them down to $50,000. And that's a private beach, but they didn't get the proper permits. So that could be what we're looking at. I don't like the structure myself, but I don't have to look at it, you know. And the only thing I knew about it is I saw this very large crane down at the end of the road, and I said, wow, that house must be really going high. And it wasn't a house at all. And when it was done, then I saw it. But also, as some people have said, I don't think we need to be reminded. When they walk down their 17 steps, they know that Sandy happened, you know, or however many that they have to walk down. So I think the process was wrong, and we don't have enough information to legally go forward either way. And I think it's important. And remember that $100,000 for a small little condo that had a small little tiki bar that had 2 chairs. 2 chairs.
Thank you, Mr.
I was page 15 Huddy Avenue. I've seen kids skateboarding in there. Do we have liability insurance? And I really like the garbage can outside. It's a nice touch.
Hi, I'm Catherine, 555 4th Street, and I came up here, I was totally on the fence. I mean, I don't look at it every day, I'm really care, but I'm grateful you had this tonight, Mr. Mayor, and also everybody gave your input. And it does put down the cost, like how much it's going to take to put down the timeline, everything else. And also, the other thing is, until you decide that, there is still debris all around that area anyway. So I know from Easter egg hunt, kids couldn't go on certain areas, the teacher would tell me because the debris is still there from concrete and things like that. So there still is cleanup that needs to be done around that to enjoy this recreation center beach this summer. So if nothing's done, we can at least continue to clean up there. And there's something scheduled soon, that would be hard because it's, to me, it's not even finished. If you can't even enjoy the beach, it's not concrete around the area. That's all I'm saying.
Hi, my name is Maria Higgins. I'm 15 Snug Harbor. And I get to see that every single day when I'm here. I'm a permanent resident. I just bought the house right before the structure went up. So I love the community. I absolutely love Highlands, and I love my house. But because of this interesting structure that went up, I have that to look at. Instead of, it's going to be beach and everything that goes along with beach community. So I have to say, I'd love to see this thing down. I think It does bring down the value. It really does not belong there. Thank you.
So, Georgina, 17 Snap Harbor. I just bought this house and I lived for so many years in New York and I tried to get out from Hungary and they just built this in front of my face. It's a little bit upset me because I was thinking to retire in this town and everything, and so I'm against to take it down, yes. And one more thing, so I would like to know if in case there is a graffiti, who's going to take care, clean it. I saw a lot of illegal letters on the street. I'm afraid that somebody going to get there, get hurt themselves. So, and one more thing, it's like I've heard somebody say we need beaches, but this is a space on the beach. So we have less beaches. We have this big construction on the beach. So let's try to get more nature. It will look like this town is supposed to be.
Thank you, sir.
East Central Avenue. No notice to the residents, no planning or zoning board involvement, no insurance, no contracts, no DPE, no FEMA approvals. I mean, this is clearly an illegal act. Somebody said you don't have a right to review. You do have legal right to review when that view is being blocked by an illegal structure. We support Mary completely in what she had said earlier. Mayor, what I'm asking of you is can you make the plans available, because there's some concern here tonight as to whether that structure was built according to plans. And also, we've requested several times in prior meetings the footprint of the old structure. If you can make those two things available, greatly appreciate it.
My name's Sheree, Washington Avenue. I used to be a summer resident up until August of last year, and now I'm a registered voter down here, and I'm very upset to find out that I could not vote on this thing. And my husband's family, the same thing. I mean, there's like 30 of us. And
You want to put it on referendum in your opinion? To vote on it?
I want summer residents to be able to vote too. They pay taxes, they pay their sewer bill. They should be able to say something.
Maybe it's a combination of a survey and a referendum, whatever it is, but I get the point.
Whatever it is, they need to vote on this.
Okay.
Because I brought my kids up on that beach, and to see that thing there now is, I mean, unless they're gonna use it for a screen at the community center to watch the beach, it's got nothing, it shouldn't be there. Also, I don't think any vote should be made until somebody decides who's gonna pay for this, because I don't feel the residents should pay for it, because we paid for the damage from Sandy. We don't want to pay for a memorial also. It's just way too much. Being that I was a summer resident, I got zero from the community, and I got zero because I did not have flood insurance. I had just got a house from my in-laws who had passed away, and I was shit out of luck. And we had to pay for the house to be fixed ourselves. In fact, we did the work ourselves. So I think that all of that should be taken into consideration.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Ann Hamilton. I'm on 3 Seadrift. I came here in 2006 and tore down a house and got zoning. And my first meeting, which is the preliminary zoning meeting, was a disaster. I came with a modern design and cable rail balconies. And I see some of the council members here who were the people who told me categorically that if I didn't go away and come back with a design that was in keeping with the historical significance of Highlands, that I would not get passed. So I rewrote my design, I looked around, and I did. I came back with shingle and white trim. I did what I was supposed to do. So I'm fascinated now that the same people who told me that now come up with this piece of concrete. And I agree with you. I'm in the city
every day on the 39th floor. I spent the whole summer on that beach, and you know, we had a perfectly good gazebo there. When it rained, you sat under it and you got shelter. I tried to sit under that thing. There's holes in the ceiling. Where's the shelter in that? You know, and the view, I could sit at that little old gazebo and I could look out at the water. What do we got now? 16-foot concrete wall? So architecture, rule number one is form follows function. Function comes first. That thing has no function, and that form is horrible. It's a concrete underclass. So let's get to the next thing, which is when I first came to Highlands, all my friends from Seabright laughed at me. They said, "Why would you buy a house in Highlands? It's so corrupt." And I said, "Oh, it's not." Right? So, but you know, the town's moving forward. Since Sandy, we've got a great little building development there on May Avenue. You can go to it today. We've hired a full-time code enforcement officer. We have come a long way towards proving that we are better and we're getting better. But this just puts us right back to where we started. You know, I don't even think we need a referendum. This is illegal. And quite frankly, my neighbor who built his house too high, he had to chop off half his roof because it was illegal. The gentleman who put in a very nice parking structure on Bay Avenue had to take it down as nice as it was because it was illegal. This is about credibility. We want to bring new taxpayers in and responsible people. We have to start acting with integrity.
Thank you everybody for your comments. Who here has not filled out the survey? We have a paper copy that's a resident. Okay, would you like to fill one out? We have some copies. You have one over there, Deb? We have some copies at the desk. We want to take them back with us. We're going to talk about this again at the Wednesday council meeting. Show of hands. This is not anything scientific. Who wants to keep it? Show of hands. Show of hands. One hand only, please. Who wants to get rid of it? Okay. We understand, we're not going to just, and that's why we're having these meetings.
Show of hands, how many people are from Snugmart?
Katie just left, I don't think Katie. Here's the reality, I know it's jumping into it and taking it down would be, in my mind, the same thing that is being said happened in the first place to put it up. So we want to get as much feedback as we can. We're not going to sit on it. Time is of the essence, but we also want to do it the correct way. Okay? Okay, so sorry. Okay. I think we're done tonight. Everybody, we have a council meeting this Wednesday night, 8 o'clock at the community center. Thank you for coming out.